Water.
Earth.
Fire.
Air. This is... What were you saying? This is Yip Yip.
Hooray!
Avatar Podcast. Well, this is quite a treat, you guys. We have the entire gang here in one room, not necessarily socially distancing, but we're all kind of...
Cuddling around the table.
We are cuddling around the table.
Sharing microphones.
But, I mean, 2 people on each microphone. Hey, everyone's here. This is incredible. It's me, Jordan.
It's me, Katie.
It's me, Jessica.
Wait, Jessica's still alive?
Are you?
And it is me, Troy.
Oh, hey, Troy.
Hey, Katie.
And this is Yip Yip Hooray, an Avatar podcast. So this episode, we watched the penultimate episodes before the season 2 finale. We got to Lake Laogai and the Earth King. So, Lake Laogai, we get into some pretty crazy things with Jet. Find out he's just been brainwashed. There's a lot of that. What do you guys think about like the brainwashing thing that was going on?
Oh, it was definitely interesting to see. I don't know, kind of feeds into my little conspiracy theory. Fire Nation spies trying to brainwash everybody.
Okay, so do you think that the Fire Nation is partly responsible for the brainwashing?
How could it not be? It totally feels like a ploy by them.
You don't think it was just Long Feng wanting to have an iron grip on the city?
Yeah.
Could be.
Exercising power.
Possibly.
Just plain exercising.
Just
Long Feng
plain-
has some pretty good physique. Did you see those calves?
All right, Jessica, what's your take?
Yes.
It's really creepy. It really creeped me out. I mean, the first time you meet Joo Dee and you're like, that's like their first indication that something weird's going on. And it was like, I don't like this.
Like, as soon as they get to the city, you're like, oh, there's an off woman wanting to escort me around. Oh, no. And then what happens to the other Joo Dee that we're introduced to for, like, a hot second in City of Walls and Secrets?
Right. They apparently wanted the old Joo Dee to go back. Be like, hey, guys, I wasn't really gone. I just went on a little vacay, but I'm here now.
But, like that, there's so many, like, logistical holes in that. Like, why did they think that was a good idea to introduce the kids to another Joo Dee to only get rid of Joo Dee 2 to bring back OG Joo Dee?
Well, and why are they all named Joo Dee? Because then they show the scene where they're like training more Joo Dees.
And it's like a fish angle lens, like everyone's kind of like funky looking.
But isn't that because it's like you're less of a person? It's like, oh, we have the Dai Li, and we have the Joo Dee, and we have these. It's like it doesn't really matter what like your personal, whatever opinions, anything, your personal thoughts. It's all about, brainwashing, and this is what you're gonna do.
So a Joo Dee is a ceremonial title to be someone who's a city escort.
Yeah, and you will not share personal thoughts and opinions.
Yeah, but the Dali from the beginning, it's obvious that that's like I am a soldier, I'm part of the Dali. But the kids when they meet the
Dali, friend.
Dali, sorry. They're not like Dalai Lamas. I know, I'm terrible.
No, okay, so...
But the Joo Dee, when they meet Joo Dee 2, they're like, last lady was named Joo Dee. What's up with you? They're not like, oh, a Joo Dee.
Right, I'm Joo Dee.
It just kind of showed like a villain flaw. Like, can you guys get a little bit more creative? Instead of just naming every single one of your Joo Dees the same person, could you have been like, the next one could have been a totally different name instead of Joo Dee? When they, like you said, when they showed the second Joo Dee for a hot second, it's like, okay, that's just laziness.
Well, I think that's laziness on like Long Feng. Not the writers. I think they were making a point that they are just brainwashing these people. Where did the Joo Dees come from?
And
That's what I was thinking, too.
What's their real names?
Yeah.
Well, maybe old Joo Dee. Maybe that's the point.
Yeah, you guys, your name Joo Dee. We got a job for you.
He just went to all the hospitals, like, give me all your Joo Dees.
Okay.
Outside of Joo Dee, the most important thing that happened in Lake Laogai is the fact the bombshell reveal that Sokka is left-handed.
Yeah, really important.
It was important to me
It's
as
a
we've...
huge deal.
Yeah, Troy is now just finding out that me and Katie are left-handed.
I totally forgot you're left-handed, even though you've been writing with your left hand this whole time.
Like,
It's new every
he
time.
looks like a mirror to me. Wow.
Yeah, we both are right-handed, according to me.
But it explains so much. Like Sokka, he's a creative thinker. He's a beautiful person. He's got a
really great artist. We saw those pictures of Appa.
great personality. Yeah, see, Sokka's my spirit animal.
Attitude.
Oh, I thought Appa was.
No,
What?
it's Sokka. If I had a Patronus, it would be Sokka.
Okay.
Okay, so the pictures that Sokka drew, there's a fun fact about those. The person who drew them was staff writer for the show, John O'Brien. He drew the really terrible ones. And so I don't know if they had a contest. Like, who can draw the worst Appa? And John was like, hey, it's me. Also, John's the guy I was picking bones with in the first season. So, John, I know that you're listening. Your drawing skills aren't that great. Maybe intentionally. That's okay. The really good ones, though, were made by co-creator Brian Konietzko. The thousands of leaflets that Aang was able to get a hold of.
And print off.
Who did he meet with? Who was he able to describe Appa to such a degree of detail that someone who'd never seen a sky bison before would be like, oh yeah, I can draw this.
Yeah, no, it was totally believable. Thousands of flyers, and then it activates Emo Zuko. Ugh. Avatar's bison is missing.
Yeah, he's like, him and Iroh are about to go like have this new life, and Zuko is like kind of at odds with that. Jessica, how do you feel about like Zuko's kind of character growth within that? Like, he's not wanting to progress his life in a positive direction in that way.
I mean, I'm always kind of annoyed at teenager emo characters that are like, my life sucks. I can't do anything about it. And then they're like walking around. It reminds me of like Harry Potter book 5.
The worst Harry Potter book?
Yes. And it's just like, I understand that. I mean, Troy, did you ever go through that phase?
Troy might still be in that phase.
Troy's never been emo.
As far as you know. Like, I went through special ed. That's close enough.
God.
I don't know if that means you're emo.
That's those are two different things.
Troy dropped a bombshell.
We should not go there, guys. But, you know, I think Jessica has an excellent point. It's definitely annoying to hear these kids, especially kids these days, that say, like, you know, my life sucks.
Kids these days.
Kids these days.
You're like, shut up, you have an iPhone 11.
The kids?
Kid? Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I don't, do you?
Do you have an iPhone 11?
Hey, Apple, do you want to sponsor us?
So, no, but that was just an excellent point. And you kind of see that Zuko going through that. I thought it was funny that Iroh went as far as to say metamorphosis.
I did think that was an interesting name drop with the metamorphosis. Also, that's the Earth King episode thing you're dropping, friend.
Yeah, don't
Yeah.
skip ahead. Okay.
Dropping bombs all over the
Gosh.
place.
You guys will talk about like the sweet job offer or like promotion that they offer to Iroh. Like, who were those people?
His name was Quan.
Right, but it's like, was he an investor?
Well, I'm like, what's Iroh putting in this tea that people are like gaga for every time?
As we've addressed in the episode The City of Walls and Secrets, the secret ingredient is love.
I mean,
Jessica.
Because remember, I don't know, it sounds
I
like
think there's a real secret ingredient.
it's LSD. And it's
Where's he sourcing the tea?
from maybe the Fire Nation. Maybe knows a guy.
You might have put like a little bit of CBD in the tea, for all we know.
Hmm.
I'm not sponsoring anything. I'm just saying.
Troy.
Do we ever? We've seen Iroh smoke, right? Like with a pipe.
I don't think so. We've
Seems
played him
Fire
sing.
Nation-y.
We've seen him play the Sungi horn.
Look, he's from the Fire Nation, so he definitely has that power to.
Are you guys insinuating that Iroh is into cannabis?
Why not?
I mean, he's very chill. For a fire, like all other Fire Nation people we meet are like pretty high strung. I think we can agree. And
Yeah.
Iroh's like, you gotta listen to your body, and like he's very like holistic.
Yeah, he's kind of been the Paul McCartney of this whole show. It's been incredible.
McCartney?
I don't know, whichever Beatle was like the most lovable.
Well, okay, that's like a whole other
I think
podcast.
George is probably the
Yeah.
most lovable, but John, I would argue, is probably the more like philosophical.
Maybe.
Okay, so I was gonna make a joke before we run off. So the Order of the White Lotus, is that just like a group of like hippie old men that like get together and like smoke a J? And
Totally, the White
Yes.
Lotus are
Totally
all
fits.
all in on it.
so if we open up a grow operation, we need to create a strain called the White Lotus.
Called Uncle Iroh. Did you take that out?
What you talking about?
Okay.
Okay, so these guys, the investors. So in the Avatar lore, apparently the idea is that people in the upper ring of Ba Sing Se, they go down to the lower rings for the quote-unquote delicious food. So this guy just might be scoping out like the next hot thing to bring into the upper ring. You know, we exploit the, you know, these like refugees bringing in like their ideas and different ethnic foods that they're introducing. And so maybe the idea is that Iroh's alias is from like an exotic part of the Earth Kingdom where they have like really delicious tea. And so that's the idea there, maybe.
Great. Okay, so we run into Jet, right? And Katara is instantly upset. Was like, I thought she was gonna take him down. I didn't remember that little interaction at all.
Were you happy that there was like no communication with them? She was just coming in hot.
You're right. 0 to 60 is like, oh, Jet.
Have you ever had an ex or a fling that you've been like, oh, the second if I ever see you again,
I'm gonna throw a bunch of like
ice daggers?
Right. No, I don't think so.
I might have one of those.
Okay. What about you two? First timers. Happy to see Jet again. Happy he had his brainwashing.
Happy to have his
So happy you got brainwashed.
He kind of I was like, kind of mellowed him out. He's like, hey guys, I've changed.
Let's go find Appa. I've been having some White Lotus.
It's kind of sad for me personally that the only time I actually had respect for Jet is that when he finally is like, no, I'm not brainwashed.
That was a really great scene, and it was really powerful, and you really get the sense of the tragedy of Jet in those moments. In this episode, like, we get to explore that a little bit more. Like, we touch on it, like when Qatar's bringing him back from brainwashing, and you get the flashes of his village burning down, and, like, child Jet checking out the guy responsible, which was a cameo appearance by Colonel Monkey of the Rough Rhinos, like those guys that just show up in random episodes, like cause devastation to villages. They're definitely the village burning downer guys.
It's very specific, but they're around, right?
Like, so we have this village. We'd like it to be burned to the ground. We have 4 guys that we're gonna send in.
That'd be an incredible job resume right there.
So for you, like, did Jet redeem himself in your eyes?
Yeah, but he wasn't really that big of a character to me in the first place. I don't know why. They could have done so much more with Jet, but they just chose not to for some weird reason. So I was just like, eh.
Well, I don't know. At this point, Jet's like, in terms of like, we're nearing the end of book 2. Out of all the secondary characters we've met, like, he's probably had some of the most screen time.
He has. I don't know why.
I mean, he's had more appearances, I think, at this point than Suki.
Yeah, which is sad.
I know.
I mean,
it is. Well,
we can agree Suki's a better character than Jet.
Yeah. Well, guys.
Talk about emo boys, though.
It's all about to change from here, obviously.
What do we think about Toph being able to detect if people were lying?
I don't know. Do you guys feel like the depiction of Toph's abilities to overcome her blindness through earthbending is consistent episode to episode? Because I feel like sometimes she can't tell if there's people in another room, but other times she can.
I think Toph, like, she comes in this, like, fully developed character with this, like, kind of incredible array of tools in her toolbox. But it seems like Toph, like, this entire season has been, like, the situationally most important character. Like, she held up the library. It was sinking. She taught Aang earthbending, obviously. But yeah, even in this episode, like, they would never have found the secret lair underneath Lake Laogai had it not been for Toph. Which, again, they probably wrote that intentionally. Be like, oh, we have this thing. Oh, we have this character that can find this thing. So in that way, it's kind of like creating obstacles just for Toph to solve them. But I do agree that I think maybe Toph has maybe too many abilities to counteract her disability.
And not only that, but I think there's only been one inconsistency with Toph so far. It's
her sweet attitude.
Is that one episode, she's like on it. She's on alert. She's fully paranoid. And, nothing can get past them. And then in the next episode, she's like a little bit more laid back and at most inconvenient times. Like, how are you not, like, alert or aware at that time? So I think that's what,
Right. I mean, I guess you could attribute some of that to, like, her, like, getting more comfortable with the whole Team Avatar and, like, they're chilling. But she knows, and she brings up, like, they're being, like, she, like, doesn't like Bong Sing Se. I said it wrong.
You both have said Bong Sing Se.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening over
we
there.
need to start practicing ba.
Okay,
Ba
wait.
Sing Se.
Toph?
Yeah.
So you think she'd be full alert the entire time they're there?
No. You people. Toph is like kicking A, okay, keeping it together. She deserves a break, okay? She can't be on 1,000% of the time.
When they were having that talk with, oh man, I don't want to butcher his name.
Long Feng?
Thank you, Long Feng. When they were having that talk with him, like,
Just call him Mr. Krabs.
Bong Fei.
when they were having that talk with Mr.
White
Krabs,
Lotus.
Long Feng, and he goes, it'd be a shame if you guys never saw your bison again. Like, her lying capability skills, like you were saying, like, they didn't kick in then, like.
Well, I mean, I don't think Long Feng didn't say anything that was an outright lie.
He was telling half-truths.
But still, I mean...
And she was just, like, at any point, she could have been like, oh, his heartbeat's just a little bit off. He's lying, or something's not quite right about this guy. They were just like, fine, we'll shut up. It sounds like he doesn't know, or he does know where Appa is. I'm like, that sounds like a half lie right there, half truth. I don't I don't buy it. But then again, this is the same dude that got lazy with the Joo Dees, so.
He got lazy with the Joo Dees.
I think that she's been more consistent with the lies. I just think, yeah, when you lose one of your main senses and your other ones are heightened, and it's like, yeah, she really can pay attention to other things that are dismissed by your eyes.
Well, it's true, and I think Toph does present like that opportunity to like see the world in a different way from the other characters. We also don't know how strong her sense of smell is. Maybe she's just going full in with earthbending. She's like sacrifice everything.
I mean, we can assume that.
An inconsistency with Toph's character is when Katara's like, it's like Jet's back. Everyone's jaw drops in that episode, including Toph's, who hasn't met Jet. So the animators were just like, oh, oops.
I was like, oh, maybe she's trying to fit in with them, but she doesn't know that their jaws dropped.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, the next scene, it was like, what, do you know this guy or something? Did he used to be your boyfriend? You're right. And,
Yeah.
Maybe her jaw dropped because she was like, wow, Kitara, like, really has an issue with this guy.
Yeah, maybe. She's like, I'm getting a sense here from you, Katara. Things aren't going very well.
Okay, switching gears. Can we talk about the old... It's like
Old Sweepy?
Yeah.
Old Sweepy.
Old Sweepy, just kind of like mumbling about.
Broombender?
Yeah. But then we find out maybe it was all a setup.
Well, the idea is like that guy's been brainwashed because Toph should have been able to tell like that guy was lying.
Right. It's like it's truth. They feel like that's the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway. That's
I
it.
mean, like, they probably didn't even have to brainwash him. They could have just talked about taking Appa to Whaletail. Was it Whaletail?
I hate that name.
I know, it's like, doesn't match.
Yeah, I don't know, you guys.
And then there's like the whole like underwear situation that's called the Whaletail.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Boo.
blame that one
Avatar
on-
creators.
I blame that one on
Whoever
Long
wrote that.
Feng again.
Oh, Long Feng, he
You
named
tell-
the island.
You tell them they went to Whaletail Island. Sir, that was a terrible name. I don't care. They'll believe it.
Whaletail Island is a real place in the Avatar world. They
Yeah.
point out to it on the map.
Boo.
Yeah.
That's why Sokka's like, oh, I found it.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Okay, we need to write in.
All right, so anything else about Old Sweepy?
No.
He hasn't had a vacation in years.
Poor guy.
Well, I just think, yeah, he's like the sweeping janitor and he like is kind of grumpy, but he's also kind of like a busybody nosy guy. And so they just like were like, oh, if we just like pretend like that's what we're doing, this guy's totally gonna blab to these kids.
Oh, yeah.
Probably.
Because he's like trying to interact with them, and then they're like, okay, weird janitor. He's like, okay, I guess no one wants to talk to old Sweepy.
Keep on sweeping.
Get John sweeping now.
And he was a great character.
Yeah.
Way better than Jet.
You know who's also a great character?
Long shot.
Yes, but I was going to say the Blue Spirit, who I'm always kind of secretly excited to see. I'm like, oh, attitude's here.
You crushing on the Blue Spirit?
Yeah, and it was clever. He's like, I was like, God, push the Dai Li.
Out of my way, skinny.
And then like run into the alley. Yeah.
What's your take on the Blue Spirit, Jessica?
Well, I like the Blue Spirit too. I'm excited when the mask comes out. But like in my mind, like whenever I see him Blue Spirit mode, he ends up like helping the Avatar crew, even though it's like indirectly. And so it's weird to me that it's like his alter ego, and it almost feels like it's more closer to his like less father side and more mother side of his like ego. But then, not to skip ahead to the next episode, but the blue red I feel like is backwards, where Iroh's red and his sister is blue. And the Blue Spirit, I just feel like the Blue Spirit should be the good side, quote unquote, I guess, Avatar side. You know what I mean?
I think they wanted to associate the blue with Azula, is what they said in the art book. But we'll come back to that vision.
But blue is associated with water, so like I associate blue with like Kitara and Sokka.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just
Well,
interesting.
also
And you associate
Iroh.
red with fire, which would be closer to her.
Well, there we go. Okay, Blue Spirit. So this is the first time we actually hear the Blue Spirit speak in the whole series. Every other time, like, he's completely silent. And yeah, the Blue Spirit leads to probably one of my favorite scenes in the entire series where... And it's really clever how they do this, too, because they're in the underground Dai Li lair. Like, you see the kids open, like, a secret door, and then it cuts to Appa seeing a door open, and then it's the Blue Spirit, and Zuko's like, were you expecting someone else?
I know, it's such a rat.
What was his plan?
But wait, did Appa know? Have they interacted before? Appa and the Blue Spirit?
Nope.
No.
Yeah. Did he know who it was?
You could probably smell him. He's like, ugh, you're here.
Totally.
This rat. No.
But yeah, I mean, what was Zuko gonna do?
Yeah, what was that scene like for you guys?
Oh man, you really asking me this one?
Well,
So
I'm asking both of you this.
Yes, Troy.
Since season 1, since we've been introduced to Zuko, I'm always like, the hell is this guy's like deal? What's his plan? Like, okay, so he's found Appa.
His plan is to get his honor back, Troy.
There was no honor. The Fire Nation has no honor. You just look at Azula.
Zuko wants his honor.
Now he wants honor that's not there. That never was there. But I was thinking is yeah, he's gonna get the flying bison, and then I'm like, great, that's pretty obvious. You got the Avatar's bison. Like, do you really want, Aang to come after you in full Avatar state just to get his bison back? It was more like, what are the villains in this TV show's primary goals?
Do you still associate Zuko as being a villain?
No, he's not a villain anymore. So
He's just there.
when he gets to Appa, I'm like, okay, boy, you got 2 choices to make.
Okay, boy.
Like what is your next choice? Because I'm certainly curious. That's the epitome of the Blue Spirit / Zuko.
But the whole thing with the Blue Spirit, like, I'm assuming he just like followed them like ninja style the whole way. And so I wish we would have gotten a scene with like the kids going to the lair, like Zuko following them as the Blue Spirit, Iroh following this Blue Spirit.
Yeah.
Just this whole train.
But he wasn't following the kids. He captured the
The Daily
Oh,
guy.
Daily guy.
right.
He was like in there before them, I feel like.
Right.
Yeah, come on.
Oh yeah, I know. I never
Jordan.
thought about that. Okay, you guys.
How many
you have
times?
All right. No,
wait.
okay.
I need to defend myself. You have to remember, the first time I watched this was 16, and so I took a lot of this stuff at like face value watching it, and I didn't really consider the fact the reason he pulled out the swords on the Daily Agent was to find out where Appa was.
Okay,
This
enough
is
about
so
you.
Dumb.
We want to hear from Jessica now.
Yeah, Jessica.
Well, to the point of like, I was like, that was like one of the smartest plans he's ever had, where he was like, okay, I'm going to find Appa. Probably the government has him. I'll just get them to show, like, the Avatar people never thought of that. It's like, oh,
Zuko.
Zuko's on top of it. But yeah, obviously he wasn't like, okay, now I have this air bison. What am I gonna fly it out of here? Like, and that's like, and then it's like cue Uncle Iroh, who's like, yeah, you didn't think it through, bud. And it's like, you should have been like, why are you always here at my worst moment?
But there should be some like fan fiction of like Zuko and Appa, like that they like go off on like this like on
a
their
divergent
journey.
timeline.
Like another Appa's day, but it's
He
like
jumps
Appa
on.
and Zuko's day.
Ooh,
Yep.
Avatar. What if?
Zuko jumps on an Appa. Yep. How does the Avatar get you to go? Come on.
Wow.
Fine.
So Avatar got crew. If you want, Troy already has the idea. He's already writing it. He's slamming things. So
had to put my foot down.
with the Blue Spirit, it was interesting that you talked about how you associate like the blue and like the Blue Spirit in general, kind of like with the Ursa, Zuko's mother, like that nurturing side. So we find out that the mask that Zuko has, it was his mother's, because in
shit.
the graphic novel where we explore like what happens to Zuko's mother, so you find out like she's like really into theater, and so she has all these masks, and so it's interesting. It's almost like the Blue Spirit activates like the goodness in Zuko, even though it's inadvertent.
Oh, jeez, I totally missed that part. That his mother was theatrical, and the Blue Spirit is supposed to represent his mother in a way.
No, it's just interesting. It's like these good qualities in Zuko.
Do you think Uncle Iroh knows that that's where the mask is from?
According to the creators, Iroh knows that Zuko's the Blue Spirit early on. And so he might recognize it if he had any sort of relationship with Zuko's mom. And I imagine they would be close. I feel like their personalities were probably compatible.
Well, it's just sad because like when he makes him like leave the mask behind, and I'm like, you're just littering this lake. Like, what kind of lessons are we teaching this way?
That's fine. That surprised you. I thought the mask was like made out of like styrofoam or wood or something.
Styrofoam?
Not styrofoam. Sorry.
What era does Avatar take place?
So much plastic.
The same
With
era.
silicone.
2002.
No, I was surprised that it sank as fast as it did. I was like, whoa, that mask was made out of something other than wood or silicone or styrofoam.
Okay, let's back up. We get Iroh coming in hot behind Zuko to kind of chastise him for what he's doing. And it's the first time in the
Blue
series.
Spirit, I wonder who that could be.
It's the first time in the series that Iroh actually like reprimands Zuko. And so what was that like for you guys to like see Iroh kind of like try to course correct Zuko?
Well, it was interesting because it made me think about Uncle Iroh like his whole backstory. Like when he says like getting his own tea shop is like his dream. I was like, was it always his dream? Like when he was a general of the Fire Nation, was he like daydreaming? Like, I wish I wasn't doing this. I wish I was just making tea and hanging out, which like I could see. Or was it after, you know, everything went down in the Fire Nation that he was kind of like reevaluating his life?
I think it's more that with Iroh.
Yeah.
I think he's a changed man afterwards, but probably also had like some of the like the philosophical loving side, but was probably kind of nurtured into him to be kind of a psychopath like the rest of the family.
Well, you know, and it's like you feel like your life's on a certain path and this is what you have to do, and he's doing it for his father and this is just his path, and then when he loses his son,
then the throne.
Right, he just kind of loses everything, and it's like, what's really important? And so, yeah, I think a lot of times people do have a shift after something traumatic.
But it's interesting, like the parallel with Iroh and Zuko. Like Zuko, quote unquote, lost everything when he was like banished, and then goes on this like spiral. And Iroh also loses everything in a different way, and kind of uses that opportunity as a springboard to become a better person.
But the difference is that there's this false hope, like, well, Zuko, if you do this, like, you can go back to the way things were. With Iroh, it's like it can never go back, and he knows that. So it's like for him, it's like a clean break. Like, okay, and I can kind of
Sounds like
over.
Tea Shop.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So my favorite line of that episode, and probably the entire second series, is when Iroh says, "Is it your own destiny or one that someone is trying to force on you?" And then Zuko's like, "Stop it, Uncle! I have to do this." And then you have Mako, and I was getting teary. I was getting emotional. Iroh's like, "I'm begging you, Prince Zuko. It's time for you to look inward and start asking yourself the big questions. Who are you, and what do you want?"
Right.
So good.
I felt like I was there yelling over Iroh's shoulder, telling him to, to say this to Zuko, like, what is your plan? What do you want? I'm like, I've just never been impressed with the way Zuko's been handling the missions. It's like, yeah, he wants to capture the Avatar, but now he's got the bison. And I was like, great, you captured the bison, but you wanted to capture the Avatar. But you know that's not your destiny. So I could see how that'd be a really good emotional. That was actually, I think I would nominate that scene for an Emmy Award.
Well, fun fact that he's talked about Emmy Award. This episode won an Emmy Award. It won the Primetime Emmy for individual achievement.
Way to go, Troy.
Look at you.
There's been several times in our life that Jordan like drops this quote and just says it. That one specifically.
It's never in context of anything. I'm just I'm feeling emotionally like driven by the spirit of Uncle Iroh.
You're getting to visit his childhood, one episode at a time.
Come with me to my childhood.
I'm here.
So Jessica, what was that line like for you?
Well, like it just like affirms, right, that you like Uncle Iroh is a good guy, and he's kind of had enough distance from this whole Fire Nation thing to realize like it's getting out of control, and you need to like focus on what you want in your life. And it also made me think, is Zuko like self-sabotaging himself because his heart really isn't in it, but he's like in his head he's like, thinks he has to do this, right? And so that's why Uncle Iroh even thinks that he has a chance to get through to him, to be like, I know you're not like your sister, like you need to really think about that and not just like follow what people want you to do, which is a good message for everyone, right?
I do think there is that self-sabotage, and I thought that same thing rewatching this, is that he, even when in the North Pole, like when he had Aang, like he took like the path of most resistance. Like, I'm gonna go hike into the tundra, I'm not gonna try to sneak out. It was like this like really foolish idea. And Zuko just kind of represents this person who's at war with himself. And physically in his character design, you see that. You get the side with the scar, and you get the side that is unscarred. And so Zuko is just a dichotomy. And so it makes him a very, very interesting character. So
Was it ever, not to go way off topic, but when the writers, when they were developing Zuko's character, did they ever try to like model him after like the mindset of like an alcoholic or a war junkie? Because the way he's just choosing the path of most resistance, the way he just keeps making things harder for himself. Because that's what it reminds me of, is somebody just like who just can't get enough of the
I've never read that was an idea for Zuko, but I just think they presented him as someone who's just kind of at war with himself. And
that makes sense.
Right, but you don't know. I mean, maybe they didn't write about it, but everyone pulls from their own personal experiences, and if they were around somebody who
your little you seem to be a little at war with yourself line is from Flynn Rider to Rapunzel in the classic animated film Tangled.
Well, there you go. See, it is
Classic.
a thing. Yeah.
So the episode ends. We have Long Feng and the Dai Li trying to capture the kids. And you get that great scene where they walk into that chamber of secrets, and all the Dai Li are like on the roof like bats. They're like hanging from like metal. That was a sweet line, Jessica. You're like nodding.
Well, I was like, is that where they sleep? Are they like hypnotized to be like bats and like
Always ready.
Is it like cave imagery because they're like earthbenders, but like they just defy gravity? Like, are they like bending while they're up there to like stay upside down? I don't know. Like the whole like logistics of it was like insane to me.
There's some Dai Li lore I'd like to get into. They might all be brainwashed.
Yeah, I've seen too many medieval shows and medieval movies because I've
never seen one.
Because I'm thinking these are all like just bodies that are just up there hanging. I'm like, good God, Nickelodeon, like that's pretty brutal.
I also was like, oh, is this like torture equipment when I first saw it?
Oh no!
And Sokka's like, well, this is new. I was like, yeah, dude, it is new for Nickelodeon. What the hell, guys?
From SpongeBob to bodies hanging. From
And then they all like jump down from the ceiling. I was like, whew, okay, they're not twisted anymore.
Whoa.
But yeah, you get into like the Dai Li and how they bend, and they, when I was reading about the Dai Li, they're able to like run super fast because they bend the earth in that way, and they have like earth shoes that they wear, and then they like glide on the earth. It's
What does earth shoes mean?
They like have like it's like made of rock, like earth, an earth shoe. It's
shoes of the earth.
It's a vegan shoe.
So it was basically the Dai Li versus the Blind Bandit.
Pretty much, it felt like. But Katara jumped in.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there were some other things happening, but yeah, Toph again.
MVP. Couldn't have done it without her.
Well, and then we have Jet and the gang, and
Part of the gang.
and that was nice. I was happy they were there. We heard Longshot speak for the first time.
Okay, and that whole scene is just like so emotional because like after Jet is brainwashed, she comes out of it and then takes like one heroic move to like stop Long Feng, and then Long Feng does something to Jet, clearly something very graphic that Nickelodeon was like, we can't show that because apparently it sounds like he's mortally wounded. I mean, what did you guys take from that?
Well, I was like, this is crazy. They're gonna like kill off this character, but yeah, and like it just looks like he got hit with a rock, which is like people have gotten hit by lots of rocks, so why is this like a mortal wound? But also it made me like, I was like, oh, the sidekicks, I want to learn more about them. And then, not to skip ahead too much, but like at the end I was like, and they're like, she looks back at the lake because she knows they're like underneath there. And then I was like, do they ever escape? And then they show Iroh and Zuko leaving. But then I was like, but I want to see the other friends, like, or do they take it, like, are they like being like captured and put in custody? Because there's just the two of them and they don't have any bending skills.
But they have a bow and arrow, and whatever Smellerbee has, I think she has like a dagger.
Yeah.
It's definitely like The Last Stand, like Jet's going down, like Longshot pulls out his arrow, and I'm assuming they just give it all they can, and I
thought it was interesting that the animators, they know they can't show blood from a head wound, so they have his hair covering the ground to represent blood, like he's bleeding out from the head. I was like,
is that what you got from that?
That's what I got from that. I was like, because that's what I would do in a kid's show if a character's about to meet their demise, but it's a kid's show, I can't show any blood, just have just a ton of hair on the ground.
See, I almost thought the way the like Long Feng like shot the like rock pillar was like it hit him like somewhere in the chest and maybe caused like internal bleeding.
Yeah.
Because Katara like went for her water healing like on his chest, but I don't know if she was just like analyzing his whole body.
Right. So yeah, Long Feng did not hit him in the head, but
he fell back.
When he fell back and smacked his head.
I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Because he's obviously disoriented when everybody's like, oh my gosh.
That's a really emotional scene for me. They're like,
yeah, definitely. Like where it's like, just go, and where it's like, I'll be okay, and Toph says he's lying.
And then Long Feng escapes and he goes, foolish boy. I'm like, so this guy's obviously okay with killing kids. This guy,
yes.
This guy no longer deserves to live.
Yeah, no, Long Feng wants to do anything he can to keep control, he is, doing some nefarious things. But yeah, I ultimately think Jet redeemed himself, and even though he was very passionate and a little extreme in some of his measures when we first met him, I do think he redeems himself just with his heroic demeanor in his last moments, and like ultimately wanting to help these people he had disagreements with.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then our group leaves, And then we find out Appa's finally free.
How'd you like that moment, like revealing where Appa is with Momo, like running off to go see him?
I did enjoy it. And I feel like, was it Long Feng who was like, what's happening?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
you know, like Momo's doing...
Stupid bat just flies off. And I do seriously...
Bat?
He's a lemur bat. He's got bat tendencies.
That's what Long Feng is thinking, like, stupid bat, because he doesn't...
Is that what he's thinking?
Because he's too lazy to give Judy's different names.
He just murdered a boy.
He murders a boy, so yeah, of course, when he sees Momo, he's gonna think nothing of it. He's gonna be like,
stupid bat.
"You stupid bat." And then you get Appa, best frame ever. Just Appa blocks out the sun, comes down, and just goes through 2 walls.
Yeah.
That was a great entrance from Appa.
Standing ovation.
You did not do a standing ovation. You sat there. Troy, you're a liar. You're just like Long Feng.
Don't lie on this pod.
Yeah, we're earthbenders. We can tell you're lying.
Whatever. You can't feel my heartbeat.
Because he doesn't have one.
Oh my god. Okay. Anyway.
But yeah, I got teary-eyed when Appa shows back up. And that's the first time that really hit me, like Appa showing up. And I think this is one of the first times I've really like grown more attached to Appa and Momo.
I agree. I think I'm feeling that too. And even just like Appa and Aang, like having that reconnection is really a tender moment.
Aang saying that he missed him more than he'll ever know. And I was like, he knows, Aang. He knows how much you missed him.
Oh my god, I'm gonna cry right now. I know it's good. All right.
And then Toph is just sitting there, just feeling both their heartbeats, like, oh boy.
Okay, so
I'm so glad I'm blind.
Moving on.
So that episode ends, and then we come to, I don't know. I don't really like this episode.
The Earth King.
You don't like the Earth King?
I like parts of it. I just think it was just so slow, because they wrote themselves into a corner of being like, oh, we have to convince this, like, puppet king that all this is going on. So we kind of like rehashing everything from this part of the Bossing Say series so far.
So I'm just going to go ahead and jump ahead to that part where we meet the Earth King. He starts talking. I'm like, so if Mr. Krabs is Long Feng, is SpongeBob the Earth King?
No.
No? Who voices the Earth King?
Over
I don't know.
SpongeBob, Troy.
No, I looked up the Earth King because I was like, this guy sounds familiar, but I thought he was a character on Earth. He is not.
No.
But it's a guy who was on Mad TV. He was in Pulp Fiction.
Okay.
But he
Is it Samuel Jackson?
Samurai Jack.
That's Samurai Jack? What?
Or he was on Samurai Jack. I didn't like click on the Samurai Jack to find out like which character. I think it said he was Samurai Jack though. But he's done like a lot of voices. And he's a black guy, which I thought was
Yep, totally Samurai Jack.
Okay, nice. No, we just had this conversation. Like sometimes you get like a black voice actor and they either are only stuck voicing like a black character very rarely, or they have to do like aliens or animals. So yeah, this is great.
No, that same guy, you would not believe how many roles that guy has taken. I know exactly who you're talking about. He's played...
Now you know, not SpongeBob.
No, but he played all the other great characters on all the other TV shows.
All of the great... Scrooge McDuck. Tommy Pickles.
Yes.
What?
but I enjoy his performance as the Earth King, as this like dumb guy who's been sheltered all his life and like doesn't question that he's never left his own palace walls.
Oh yeah, it's cool.
He's just like, my best friend's a bear.
This is his reality.
And like he doesn't realize that it being just a regular bear and not a platypus bear is weird.
Oh, yes. No, it was a good episode. Oh, and does anybody else want to talk about one of my favorite lines from this series so far?
I guess we can.
Yeah.
I mean,
we
I didn't
do.
really voice it, sorry, but when they're all like beating up the Earth King guards and Sokka and Katara taking turns like saying, sorry. I did tag football back in junior high during lunch period. And that's how I finally figured out how football works. And I'd say every time I would go to tag somebody, I'd say, sorry, it's just a game, sorry. And yeah, I never tried out for the actual football team, but
That's pretty good because when I played football when I was a freshman in high school, I actually didn't know the rules of football. I was very poor at that sport.
Well, that's all right.
But no, I just loved how they were just beating up all the guards, and they're just saying, sorry, we're actually on your side.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it was like a little disturbed how apologetic Katara was. I was like, knock it off. And I love that Toph was unapologetic and was like, I don't even want to be here, but like, let's do this.
If we're gonna be here, we're gonna do it my way.
Yeah, so that was good. And even I feel like everybody, the group was very determined. Even Appa, like everyone's upset. Aang's like I don't know.
Oh yeah, when
stopping
the boulder comes and he
comes
just
up
like
and he just
angrily
stops
like
it.
bends.
Mhm.
Was that a move that he does like this one?
Yes.
That Aang does.
Yep, that was a Tai Chi move. Believe it
Oh.
or not. Yep. I want to. God, I can't remember the name of it all of a sudden. But it's definitely part of the 8 form.
So when those huge boulders are being thrown out, Sokka calls them surface-to-air rocks, which is a reference to surface-to-air missiles, which I thought was an interesting line to throw in.
Yep, SAM turrets, but Avatar style.
Yeah.
How does Sokka know so much about like military
Everything.
technology for the Earth Kingdom? Like they
We-
teach that at the Water Tribe school.
Again, we saw the Southern Water Tribe. I don't know if they had a library or a place where like knowledge was kept. So I don't know where all this is coming from.
He's a young man, and they don't have all knowledge.
Yeah, if I look at a
And-
car, I know how to diagnose it immediately just because of the sex of me.
Right. Everybody
The
knows
sex
that.
of you.
Yes. Okay, also with Sokka, he did go to the library. He still has the bag that matches his belt, which he's had since the Blind Bandit episode.
Yeah.
Maybe he grabbed some really interesting textbooks in the Spirit Library about engineering of the Fire Nation and other places.
Yes.
I did enjoy that the Earth King gets to ride on Appa. And, has his eyes opened up and does ultimately make the right decision. Or it's like, arrest whatever. his-
Long Feng.
Yeah, I can't remember his name either.
Sorry.
Yeah, so that was good. But,
Okay, but again, like the pace of the episode, just like it's
No, it's
so
right.
slow at times. Where they're like trying to convince them that Long Feng's evil, of like showing him like the bite where Appa bit
Yeah,
him,
yeah.
and as Katie said, ate his foot.
whatever, you guys.
So-
Okay.
I have a question about Earth Kingdom hierarchy. So Aang's friend at the other Earth,
Boomy,
Boomy, what was his title?
King of Omashu.
Okay, so each city has their own king. Because why is he is he like a sub king to the Earth King?
I don't know what how the
I was
monarchy
thinking
works.
about that as well. Like, if you got Boomy and Toph in the same room against Earth Kingdom guards, like, that would be an interesting scene to play out.
You know,
Just,
Boomy would be like cackling. It'd be creepy.
I'm going to do nothing. Toph, you do all the work.
But see, I don't know if like the Earth King's like the king of the entire Earth Kingdom, because he has the title Earth King. I imagine he reigns supreme, and then maybe they're just like other divergent kingdoms. Maybe
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe they did it early on. They're like, oh, oops.
Well, don't you think it'd be compared to like, the Queen of England or the King or whatever?
Well, then
And
they're
you
called
have,
like
the-
dukes and earls, and
Right, but you have these other.
they just
I don't
don't have a
know.
word for it.
But it's also interesting the way they portrayed, like, obviously, like, the way Booby rules his city is, like, so different from this Earth King. And it's like, do you think they were trying to make a commentary about, like, how having, like, a designated ruler that's, like, separated from the rest of the world can easily be influenced by, like, a Rasputin-type character? And, this is, like, not how you should be running, like, your government? And, like, trying to, like, tell kids this?
Maybe like keep your eyes open, be involved.
Yeah.
Well, so the Earth King in general, like they intentionally made him just like a normal guy, quote unquote. Like they toyed with the idea of making him a child at one point, and then I read that they wanted to make him a really fat guy. I was like, I don't know.
Does he even know how to earthbend?
Not that we know, not that we've seen.
That is interesting. You would think a bender would be the king.
Why?
Because I feel like there's like a certain, what do I want to say, cachet to being like a bender. And so you would think, because obviously like someone has to come in and start a kingdom, and like, you don't become king just because people like you. You're usually like a conqueror, or your ancestors were. And so it would make sense that the bender would be the one who would be able to conquer an area, and then everyone would like pledge their allegiance to this person who's powerful. It's not normally some guy who's just charismatic and like, hey, let's all be friends and all lead us. And
Well,
the
there was a
benders
guy
will
who
do
was
the stuff.
charismatic and told them to all lead me, but didn't really have many powers.
But don't you think that was just like it's been in the family for years and years? And just because your parents were able to bend doesn't mean that you're going to be able to bend, or.
Well, what is it, like wizards where there's like squibs?
Well,
I'm sorry, I'm like Harry Potter, but this is like my
no.
easiest like. Where then there's like Muggleborns. So like, are there like random people who like all of a sudden are benders and they're just born with the bending ability?
You were born with the bending ability. I think it just shows as soon as like you're able to like generate it. I'm pretty sure it's like in childhood. But there is evidence of 2 bending parents having children that are non-benders in the series and in Korra, but I'm not going to talk about that.
Good.
So the Earth King also, he's based off of like real Chinese emperors, and they went to Beijing to like check out all these kingdoms and these throne rooms to really get influenced by it. And so in the lore of the series, King Kui is his name. He was the 51st Earth King, and then Long Feng was appointed to him as his guardian when he ascended the throne when he was 4. Is how that goes.
Gotcha.
So Long Feng's been with him for a long time.
Oh,
I see.
that's just too sad.
Poor guy.
They'd be pulling this stuff behind the king's back.
It's like Emperor's New Groove, you know?
He's Yzma.
Yeah.
Or Kronk.
What do you think their age difference is supposed to be?
Well, yeah, after reading it, like, the Earth King doesn't seem like he's super young. And Long Feng, I don't know, he's probably like in his 50s, early 60s.
I imagine the
Right,
Earth King
but-
being the same age as Jordan.
But I feel like
30.
Yep.
you dress up the king. I mean, yeah, he could be 30 or younger
That's true.
for sure.
Well, and like, you know, we don't have any concept of this because we've never lived in a royalty or any sort of like real traditional monarchy. But yeah, the monarchs traditionally are seen as like gods, like people who are so much more spiritually enlightened than you. They have connections to the spirit world. I don't know. So you get
Whatever.
anything.
I want to talk about Zuko being sick, and then he had like that mom dream.
He had some crazy visions.
Like he was tripping out. Also making a mess, was like, I need water, and then it's like throwing the ladle and like spilling the water from the bucket, throws the bucket.
I don't think he drinks any of that water. He's just like splashing it on his face and then tosses it.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting that Uncle Iroh like knew exactly what was going on. So it was like, has he witnessed this happen before? Like someone going through this metamorphosis?
Did this happen to Iroh?
That's what I was thinking. I think Iroh lost the siege of Ba Sing Se, and he probably sweated out. He's like, I'm actually not supposed to be a general. I'm supposed to be a tea shop owner, I'm supposed to, really I want to live the rest of my life with tea. So when he sees Zuko going through it, it's like, oh, I've seen that face before.
Yeah. Okay, wait. So what did you guys think about the group splitting up after they got their little letters?
Well, it never turns out well, right?
It's
And
never
any
good when you break
sort
the
of
fellowship.
media, yeah. When they like break up, like all hell's gonna break loose. So you kind of like, you're just like, okay, how's this not gonna work out? Oh, it's like the opposite of Sokka in the episode. He's like, everything's gonna be great, and I think he was the viewer like, oh, Sokka, poor Sokka.
And Top foreshadows it early on. She's like, I don't trust this new positive Sokka.
Uh-huh.
No, neither do I. It's already tough enough, and when all 4 of them are working together. Like they barely make it through every adventure. So when they split up, I'm like, well, this could be the mid-season finale right here.
Well, I mean, we're at the penultimate episode, so I mean, this is setting up the season finale.
Yes.
And it sets up pretty bad. Like, Toph gets captured and meddled by her old teacher and the Earth Rumble guy.
God, what kind of teacher is that guy? Jeez.
He's not a good one.
Teachers are sleazy.
Well, and then you have sleazy. Teachers are sleazy?
Yeah, those teachers in the
What
Avatar.
happened to you in school?
Oh my god. All right, we'll have to deal with that later.
Well, and then we get the bombshell cliffhanger that the Kyoshi warriors are there, and of course...
It's the bad girls.
Well, yeah, and then Sokka's like easing everyone's fears, which they probably wouldn't have made them honored guests had, these trusted people that just came in weren't like, oh my gosh, these are like really good friends. Trust them. Bring them in.
And I felt like it was semi-unbelievable, but maybe they were all the way at the wall. But I was like, oh, like Sokka wouldn't want to be like, hey, Suki, we're leaving. Hi and bye.
Well, Sokka's also like really jazzed to see his dad. And I think that shows Sokka's character, like his family's more important, and seeing his dad, who he hasn't seen in years at this point, is going to trump everything else. Like he's stoked that Suki's going to be there.
Yeah.
But he's like, I got to go see my dad. I got to catch up. I want to show him that I'm like a man. I've done these things. I know how to take down a drill. I know what surface to air rocks are. I know everything about the military.
He wants some man-on-man time.
Yeah, he's going to invent the diesel engine.
Yes,
I
he
thought it
is.
was weirder that Kitara wasn't there in the room to be like,
I know. Yeah, exactly. Where was she supposed to be?
She ran off immediately. She was not going to meet with them.
And the real question is, where is Suki?
So,
and
No,
I was
you-
gonna. And how did they learn all the Kyoshi warrior like customs? Like, because they were like They had the fans. They like figured out real quick. I mean, obviously they fought them, but like that doesn't mean they paid attention to like how to like. I don't think when they fought them initially, they're like, oh, we can steal their clothes and become them. That wasn't the original plan.
Yeah. Well, I mean, don't you think they probably like subdued them and maybe captured them, and then we're like, we're taking this?
I think they took the stuff, but I don't think they could have. I don't think like Suki would have been like, oh yeah, don't forget the fans, and like this is how we do it.
And remember, like the kimono goes like this.
And this is how the makeup goes.
But I would argue that trio, I think that they are pretty smart, and I think they're pretty sharp, and I feel like they would have, yeah, especially Azula, I'd be like, this is what it is, and who knows if they've studied every culture.
Yes.
Because obviously the Fire Nation
That's
is a little
true.
obsessed.
And obviously, it's like when I saw it, it's like, upsetting, but you're like, Azula, that's pretty genius.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
she is wearing Suki's headdress. That one's actually Suki's. So she's
No.
like, this is mine.
Darn.
Yeah, that is not good. So what was that like for you seeing the girls show up as
I
the
just thought to
Kyoshi
myself, this is going to be an interesting standoff. It's going to be Azula versus Long Feng versus the Earth King versus Katara.
Yeah, I mean, what are their odds?
I don't know. It's going to be insane.
Let's go back to Zuko really quick, because he is going through a metamorphosis, and he, as Iroh said, but he gets these visions, right, of the two dragons trying to convince him of something. But the blue dragon, voiced by Azula, keeps encouraging Zuko to sleep. Like, is a part of him trying to make him die? Like, what was that about?
Yeah, or either just put him maybe self-induced a coma.
Or like making like the good part of Zuko go to sleep? Was that what that was?
I think it was open to interpretation.
I'm trying to see what your interpretations are.
Twin dragons.
Yeah, because
Okay. I thought
Okay,
it was
go for
just yin and yang, finding that balance. You know, you have the good, like the angel on the one shoulder and the devil on the other. And yeah, just like finding that balance and trying to find balance within yourself. Where obviously he can't, I think, necessarily choose one or the other, you know, because it's just he is who he is. And yeah.
and you're still crushing on him, Katie.
Well, it's interesting that the blue dragon was just like, go to sleep, not like, go find the avatar. And like, it was just like, just chillax. But I think that's kind of her whole thing with her brother is she just wants him around for what she needs him for. But she doesn't necessarily need him like going on his own mission to do what he needs. So she's kind of like, yeah, just relax. It's cool. Like, don't think too hard about things, bro. Like,
Zuko, don't have any agency. Just
just
let
like
it
when
go.
I tell you to do something, just do that and don't really think about it. I think is what her like whole thing is.
Or could it be interpreted like sleep as in like say goodbye to like your connection to the Fire Nation, maybe? Like just kind of like get rid of that and like pursue this life with Uncle.
Yes, I think it could be that.
No, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
no, I definitely interpreted it like this. I was a little bit confused by the dialogue myself because she's like you said, like, you know, just go to sleep. And then you got Iroh's dragon out of nowhere. He's like, no, don't go to sleep. You must stay awake. And that's like, but when he's awake, Iroh's like, hey, Zuko, just relax, drink some tea. You know, I'm like it was definitely a little bit of an oxymoron for me.
Yeah, but I think like Iroh could be encouraging him to like stay woke, like stay aware, and to like look at the world through this good lens, and to not be clouded by his origins with the Fire Nation. But then later on in the episode, when Zuko finally kind of like gets up, he has that dream vision where he's like washing his face, and then he looks up and he's either like morphed with Aang or he is the Avatar. I don't know.
Yeah. There was just some freaky
I'm
things
sorry. To me,
happening.
that was a dead giveaway that they're gonna be best friends next season.
So what was that like for you, Katie?
That scene specifically?
Well, like the fact that he was having some dream vision of him as an Avatar or Aang.
Right, and he was also having a dream as like being the Fire Lord, and I think, yeah, he's just been so intertwined with Aang and like obsessed with that, and can see them in a different light. As before, it was like wasn't really viewing Aang as a person and just more of a entity that he needed to capture. It was like just this thing. Now, I mean, it's debatable that Zuko knows probably the most about them. You know, so
You're thinking like both of those visions he was having was showing him kind of his Fire Nation side and this side that he's been like
exposed
chasing
to. That, I mean, he probably never learned anything about. Obviously, he just had a really weird upbringing. And yeah, he's like out seeing the world and like has this opportunity to see it in a different light. And And that for sure is going to come with some inner turmoil.
But then when Zuko wakes up, like we see his eyes, and then you see him touch his scar. So what was that like?
I think he was like, oh, is it still me? Did I like transform? Am I the Avatar now? It was like something, just kind of making sure that he was still him, and maybe it all hasn't been a dream or a nightmare.
It's very rare that Zuko like brings attention to the scar, though.
But I think, yeah, to Katie's point, like the scar is part of him, part of his identity. So it's like, yeah, like when you touch the scar, you're like, yep, this is still my life. I'm still like banished from the Fire Nation. So
Yeah, it was interesting that like, both of his visions, like the scar was gone, both as the Fire Lord and as Aang. Well, so that's the penultimate episode. Things are going crazy. It's gonna collide into the 2-part finale, The Guru and the Crossroads of Destiny.
Ooh.
Troy, any predictions?
No. Yip, yip, hooray.
Aw, yip,
Wow.
yip, hooray. No predictions.
No predictions. I mean, it's going to be new to me again.
Aw, welcome.
Excited to watch it.
Yeah.
Excited for the future.
All right, yeah, clap. Woo! All right, everybody, thanks for listening.
Bye, Yippers.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
This is a practice round.
Yip,
Practice round.
practice round.
Practice
Practice
round.
round.
Testing.
Practice,
1,
practice.
2, and 3.
Let's all talk at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's-
Yo, yeah.
Like, how'd you like that, Avatar?
I loved it.